This is the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast.
All right, so starting A Memory of Light properly this week.
And we should say that it's been smoky in our area, so if you hear that in our voices, that's why.
Yeah, everything's on fire. But it's fine, because we're reading a book about the end of the world where nothing is on fire at all.
Is the dog holding a book in that famous "This is fine and everything's on fire" meme?
No, I believe it's a cup of coffee, but I would love to change it to, Eye of the World or Memory of Light cover specifically. So yeah, today we're doing the first 3 POVs of the prologue that are not Talmanes, right? So POVs 1,
right,
3, and 5, where Talmanes was 2, 4, 6.
So we got Bayrd. Is that how you'd
Bayrd.
say that?
Yeah.
Bayrd, Isam, and Leilwin.
Yes. Yeah, and they're good POVs. They get you back into the world. They bring in perspectives you're not used to. I mean, obviously Bayrd is a new character, but Isam and Leilwin are both, small characters we don't get to be in the heads of very often.
And Bayrd is basically telling the story of Jarid just from a different POV.
Right, because Jarid Sarand is an attachment to an attachment to an attachment, right? He has never been meaningfully on the page. We've never been in his head. We've barely been in his wife's head.
No, but he's been one of those rebel groups that we've always that Rand has kept track of, that was a pain in his ass back in the day. It's one of those storylines that pop up again and again and again as you're talking about Rand's ascension to the throne.
You mean Elaine?
Yes.
Not Rand.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
But they rebelled against Rand first, right? When he was in Camelin.
Yeah, well, it wasn't really a rebellion, right? There was all that ass kissing and sycophanting.
So I guess rebellion's the wrong term, but
I associate Jarid Sarand with Elaine's succession plot exclusively. I don't recall him being an issue for Rand at all. Elania Sarand was a bitch to Rand, but Jarid was off.
That's sort of what I'm implying. Is that whole plot line with her and him, Elania and Jarid, and that house that's been trying to take back power the whole time, whether it's manipulating Rand, whether it's rebelling against Elaine, whatever that they've been doing.
Yeah, but this was the biggest knife pressed to Elaine's throat, I think was how it was described at the time. Jarid was the biggest external threat.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
And now his wife is completely defanged. She's in prison. She's held captive for hostage. He's just out there as a loose cannon flying around. Let's catch up with him and see how he's doing. And we pop in with, just some random soldier, essentially. And he gives us the entire retrospective and present update on what is happening with this guy who's been completely cut loose, cut off from what he was doing, from his wife who was giving him instructions. Now he's just wandering around the countryside, completely adrift. And this dude is going to tell us all about it.
By grace and banners fallen. Bayrd pressed the coin between his thumb and forefinger. It was thoroughly unnerving to feel the metal squish. He removed his thumb. The hard copper now clearly bore its print, reflecting the uncertain torchlight. He felt chilled, as if he'd spent an entire night in a cellar. His stomach growled again. The north wind picked up, making torches sputter. Bayrd sat with his back to a large rock near the center of the war camp. Hungry men muttered as they warmed their hands around the fire pits. The rations had spoiled long ago. Other soldiers nearby began laying all of their metal, swords, armor clasps, mail, on the ground like linen to be dried. Perhaps they hoped that when the sun rose, it would change the material back to normal. I think that sort of summary of what's going on, all the metal in the camp is turned into silly putty.
Yeah, it's somewhere between clay and it's more solid than mercury, but it's very, and this is a bubble of evil, right? This is a weird bubble of evil, but it's got to be that, right?
It's that, and somewhere between a bubble of evil and just the corruption of the plane of existence that is happening because the Dark One is now arising, right? We've seen, teleporting hallways. Is that a bubble of evil, or is that just reality breaking down?
Sure.
Right.
Right.
What's a bubble and what's a flood and what's a river and what's, something that's fundamentally just a breaking down of reality that used to just happen around these little compact bubbles, but is now coming out everywhere.
Because the Dark One is coming into the world, and what is it that I think Grandal says? Anything that exists can be unmade by the Dark Lord. Like, that's the closest thing she has to a sacred creed, is like, the Dark One can unmake anything. And the Dark One is very much coming through as the seals break. So, like, things are becoming undone.
And this kind of feels like knocking them back to the Stone Age, like we're taking away all of your metal tools. You will be, the Stone Age people, and the skill of knapping flint suddenly becomes the most useful thing this man has, because it's the most primitive thing he's got, which is the ability to make stone into spears.
That's what I really like about this POV, is how if you lose all this fancy trappings, all this fancy refined metal and minted coins and manufacturing, civilization, large structures, but you can lose all that and still know how to just take 2 rocks and a stick and start to build yourself a toolkit back up that will allow you to survive. And how this guy having that skill is vital to everyone else's survival, right? Otherwise, these are literally naked, weaponless men running around with no direction. But he says, I can make spears, and that gives them the ability to consolidate, to organize, to choose to go into battle, right? This gives them the confidence to say, no, we're marching north. And it's such an ancient skill, right? Napping is not something that you just know. It's a very specific taught skill that, like, you could lose in favor of civilization and technology and be like, who needs that silly rock breaking skill? No one would ever need that. We're civilized now. We have technology.
And then to turn around also and say, listen, you nobleman, you aristocrat, you business owner, the world is ending. We can no longer listen to what you're doing. We have to go our own way to go save the world.
And everything that made you think you're special is meaningless. Your money is literally melted into a lump, and your tent fell apart because all the metal fell apart. It's all gone. Everything's gone. I also think it's interesting that stone is still fine, right? It's not a thing that people have manipulated at all. It's just of the purely natural world. It's going to be one of the last things that the Dark One unmakes, is the literal bones of the planet itself.
Yeah, the more altered it is by man, the more it seems to not function anymore.
Right, kind of like in, his Dark Materials, right? Dust congregates more around more manipulated and more complex objects and less around natural objects. So it's kind of that principle. If there's enough dust on it, then the Dark One can unmake it much sooner.
Right. Because in both worlds, the dust is a bit of corruption.
Well, in that world, dust is just an elementary particle, but...
Right. But then why is it, I remind me again, why is it attracted to things that are more manipulated by humans? Is that just like a property of it?
It is a sort of metaphysical expression of the divine and angels. And like, if you put your intent into it, then you are like communing with this like other plane of existence kind of deal. And like the dust is sort of a manifestation of that. I think like literally at the end, the angels say like, we are dust, but it's very esoteric at that point. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey kind of shit. But yeah, the dust is more of a emergent phenomena at that point and less of a cause.
Got it. Right. Because I forget that in those books, like heaven's real, like this other metaphysical plane, and there's a god and
angels and all
don't
that.
They like angels, and it's a whole
and God
spoilers,
is dead.
but don't they like murder him or something, or he's already dead? Yeah.
No, God was put into basically stasis like a bajillion years ago and wishes that he could die. Like he's just the ghost of a ghost of a ghost, but is just incapable of dying until they break open the like impenetrable stasis box, and then he's able to relax into fucking dying finally, millennia after he ceased being like a functional, competent deity and like the god that we know has always been Metatron or whoever,
Right. The archangel or something who took over.
Yeah. But yeah, in that world, angels and gods are very real phenomena. So,
So dust.
Dust was kind of a sign of all that existing. And Marzipan is asking in the chat, Bayrd is named after somebody?
Oh.
The Dragonmount guy? Jason Denzel? No, he's elsewhere.
Yeah, we saw him. He was very much called out. Let me look up.
Oh, Tom DeSimone. How would Bayrd come from that name, though? I mean, maybe it's like a D&D deep cut. I don't know.
Like beard? I don't know. Let me look.
Pants has a quote in chat. The name comes from a personal communication between DeSimone and Sanderson.
Oh, okay. Bayrd is named after Tom DeSimone. I did not know that. Tom DeSimone moderated my first panels at WatCon. It was me, the White Tower Girls.
Wait, you mean at Jordan Con, not at WatCon?
Yes, sorry, Jordan Con. And Daniel Green, actually, on that panel. And Tom DeSimone.
Wow.
And so that was... Yeah, the 5 of us on that. So Tom's a good guy. He always has a great parent costume. He's got that ridiculous metal hammer that he carries around, and because he's a giant dude. I've seen him at WatCon. I have hung out with him. He's very nice. He's very, very, very nice. Very positive part of the Wheel of Time community.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Lights up the room. So I would never have guessed that he was the originator of that name based on, what the name literally looks like, right? Bayrd. But yay for the community collectively managing to know things.
He does have a ridiculously large beard.
This is true. That is one of his more noticeable, you can spot him across the room by it kind of features.
Right.
Oh, neat. That's fun.
It's fun knowing a bunch of the people who were named for, these characters in Wheel of Time. It's like, oh yeah, I know him. I hung out with him. Yeah. It's like the second 2 degrees of separation between the author.
Totally.
Even though it's, I guess, more like 3, right? But it's,
Yeah, it's still fun though. Speaking of names, then there's also Karam is a random name that's thrown in here, and you should probably look that up just to make sure it's not somebody. That's the dude that Jarid is mainly yelling at through this scene, and then takes the gold and walks away into the darkness and does not join the stone tool wielding battalion that Bayrd is putting together.
Karam is named for Stephen Karam. So he is named after someone. And then let's look up Lord Davies. I bet he's somebody too. Named after Sean Davis, a fan of the Wheel of Time.
And next, there's a name, Eerie?
Let's see. Eerie. Wow, yeah. There's a bunch of these guys. All right.
Yeah, that's the guy who says, how is someone going to bring you Elaine's head? What are they going to cut it off with? Their teeth? It's a good line.
Named for Eric Peters, a fan of the Wheel of Time. And Morier. Morier is named for Robert Moreau. And then I think I had one more, Rosé.
Rosé all day.
Don't think that's what that's for. Named for Robert Rose, a fan of the Wheel of Time.
Nice. So big old bevy of those guys here in this.
Yep. Pretty much every name there is named for someone who is a fan of the Wheel of Time.
Yeah, except for Jarid, because he existed books and books ago. So
right.
There is a line here, though, in all this napping stuff that I do think is kind of weird sounding. He talks about slapping the stones together. I've never done rock napping, but that just does not sound like the right verb.
Slapping?
That just doesn't sound right. I don't believe that Sanderson has ever tried to nap rocks. And I have never tried to nap rocks, but I still don't believe he has either.
No. Clapping or cracking or I don't know. Striking. Yeah, striking. He's using this thesaurus. He's trying to come up with something more than saying striking like over and over and over again. Cut the man some slack.
No.
Me, his biggest critic. Cut the man some slack.
I know, right? The Lord and his guard are arguing while this dude just thinks about the fact that his grandfather taught him how to nap stone.
Right. We know the food is spoiling. They've got no protection from that, so everybody's starving.
Right. They have no protection. They are having the worst, right? We've been like, more proximity to Ta'Veren makes it better for the food. They have like the farthest proximity from Ta'Veren or Ta'Veren friends. I mean, they're the enemies of Elaine, right? Of course, their food is completely spoiled.
Right. And Jarid the whole time is like, it's her plot. It's this Aes Sedai plot. It's like, dude, just because you suck at your job doesn't mean people are plotting against you.
Yeah, it's not always a conspiracy about you. Sometimes the world is on fire.
Just because you hired incompetent people to paint the bottom of the reflecting pool doesn't mean people went out there and cut the lining.
Right.
It's actually you.
Yeah, you're the problem.
A failure. You're the problem.
You are the constant factor here.
There's no one else there to blame. Yeah.
We get a mention of the difference in texture between slate and granite, and I will say Sanderson has apparently held slate and granite in his hands at least once in his life. Because soft and smooth slate versus bumpy ridged granite. Okay, I can buy that. That sounds correct. Slapping the rocks together doesn't sound correct, but like the smooth versus the bumpy, okay, all right.
Slapping sounds like he's trying to clap with the rocks in his hands, just like...
Yeah, but like kind of is missing. It's like one of those bad, like a nerd high five where the hands do not hit the way they should.
Yeah, I like the idea that creating something pushes back the darkness, like because the Dark One destroys, so the act of creation helps fight him.
Yeah, literally. He's literally unmaking things. So if you are creating, if you are putting things together.
That's why the Ogier is so powerful.
Right. And it's why, being a team and having community is like a big part of what the last battle is about, right? It's not who lives or who dies. It's the fact that we're coming together to have that fight and we're continuing to fight as a collective. And, we experience that in our own lives, right? Like crafting as opposed to just doom scrolling. It does push the darkness back to get into, your garden or sewing room or kitchen instead of just reading another think piece on why we're all doomed.
Do you think that Jarid gets left behind forever? Do you think he just dies tied to that tree?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No one frees him?
No. He's lost his mind. He's almost part of what has been unmade already, Like his army is leaving like ghosts and then they leave him and then the ghosts move in, right? I just no, he gets swallowed by a Mashadar-like experience, I think.
You think still kind of part of the bubble of evil, something happens to him?
Yeah, I think he's lost and then he's left vulnerable. Who's going to save him? He has no belief in the reality of what he needs to do to save himself at all. He's waiting for Elaine to get held to account so that way he can go back to life as it was before. And we're never going back to the old normal. That's simply not happening. But he's fully dedicated to it, so he's going to get literally left behind to the ghosts.
And that's, I think it ends with him saying he has an oath older than the One Deer family, an oath the dragon himself couldn't undo. It was an oath to the land, right? So this idea that he owes his blood to the land and the stone, and that's still there for him. The Dark One hasn't corrupted that yet.
And I love how he says even the dragon can't break it, right? The dragon breaks all ties that bind. He does not break the fact that you are of the land.
Right.
Ties that bind is an intentional, applied, human, social thing. Being of the stone, being connected to the land. That is not civilization. That's not interpersonal. That is the reality of the animated stardust that you and the planet are both made of, right?
No, I thought that was a fun way to open the book. It's a good POV. It's a good resolution of one of the plot lines. It shows you that the world is breaking down. It shows you what the people who aren't in the main group are doing, right? They're discovering, like, we need to go ahead and join the last battle. Like, it is time.
Yeah, and even though we don't have the paragraph because we're in the prologue, there are multiple mentions of wind, right? They're all heading north into the wind. There's a couple of different mentions of wind where I'm like, yeah, we are sweeping up these loose ends and gathering them all into the last battle. And yeah, it's a really good opening to the book. It was a very satisfying way to start the book on my first read, for sure. All right, now we get to go to the town.
The town.
Which we didn't know existed until this POV.
I think, so the village in the Blight has been hinted at, I think, but yeah, not like the town.
It felt like news to me when
Same.
it came up. I was like, we've heard of a village in the Blight? I didn't think so. But yeah, Isam apparently spent his entire life growing up here. And Isam, remember, is a small child when he gets lost in the Blight, right? Like, he is a blending of Luke and Isam. Luke was a young adult. Luke was like 18, 20, something like that when he got lost in the Blight. Isam was a babe in arms, right? He was like probably under the age of 5 when all of that stuff with Malkier went down. So Isam specifically grew up in the town and is very shaped by the town in a way that someone like Luke, not so much, but Luke only exists in the dream. Isam is the one in real life. Or no, they can switch back and forth, right?
They can switch back and forth. I think we've decided, at least based on the evidence here, that they mostly dominate that Luke is in the real life and Isam is mostly in the dream, but they can choose to be either way. Now, I think the question we didn't have is, can they change outside of the dream, or can they only switch faces inside the dream?
Yeah, I would assume so. But it'd be a heartbeat of a flicker, right? To pop in, change, and pop back out.
It'd be trivial. So I guess it doesn't really matter. We can pretty much assume that they could do it outside. And effectively, it would mean the same thing.
Sure. But yeah, I just think it's worth noting. This is not Luke. This is not the 20-something that got lost in the Blight. This is the child that got lost in the Blight and managed to survive in this town somehow. I mean, he sees children here in this POV. Like, clearly somehow that keeps being survivable, but barely. You almost feel bad for him in this POV, like knowing where he came from and being like, oh, god damn, dude.
Sure. And in a lot of ways, I think of him as the anti-Lan, right? Lan was brought away and raised in the land of light to be good, and he was brought away to the land of evil to be raised bad. And like those two, that we have that black and white face symbol. I bet you could start this segment with that one, right? Like, because he's like the dark Lan in a lot of ways.
Because they're cousins. They're closely related people who came from the same social circle in the same generation, in the same community.
And have a lot of the same, like they are dedicated warriors who are very taciturn, don't have a lot to say, are, willing to let a more gregarious, outgoing person take the lead while they follow for the most part, right? Like they are very similar characters, just Isam's on the side of evil, but driven to perfection.
Yeah. And in this POV, you learn that, like, he might have not even ever had a choice to be anything but evil, right? Like he was a child surviving. So like, is he evil or is he what the world made him? Ooh.
Or was he taught to kill at the age of, 5 or whatever? He doesn't say how old he was killing people, but as a child, he was killing people.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think that it gives us a specific age for how old he was, but like, when we get told that story, it's like, I can feel sorrow only for the child. Like, he was young when he got lost out there. Oh my god, yeah, imagine Rand if schooled by Isam instead of Lan. Darth Rand would have been like the beginning level.
Right. He's like, first you murder people, then you gain power. I don't know.
Step 4, profit.
Yeah. We jumped around a little bit in this one, but...
What's relevant here? Most of the buildings were constructed by prisoners with no knowledge of the craft, supervised by men equally ignorant. That sounds ramshackle as hell.
For 2,000 years, that's just like buildings going up and coming back down again and getting razed and destroyed, and nobody really knowing what they're doing to build this place, because anyone with any knowledge leaves.
Right, or never made it in the first place.
Yeah.
This is quite close to the Valley of Thakandar and Shale Ghul and the Forge, right, where people are getting sortified.
Yeah, and that's sort of, let's speculating on like what is the purpose of the town, right? Like it's got to be for, because people wonder like what's the machinery that keeps the armies equipped. This has got to be part of it.
Seems like this is a place where humans who are doing that work can come for food and rest and recreational murder or something.
Mm-hmm. And the Dark One has human armies, right? Human soldiers as well. So it seems like there has to be some place for them to live. Like it makes sense that it almost feels like this should be a bigger city.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Or that there are more of them.
Yeah. But it's just the town, which wouldn't make sense if there were more of them.
I mean, some people use the word town very loosely.
No, but it would be the first town or the prime town or the,
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Doom Prime. And then we get to the term that I tend to associate quite positively with our friend, Sam and Nasai, who's basically always in chat. But here we get to learn that Sam and Nasai are actually these people called eye blinders that scare literally everybody. Weird choice of name, my friend.
Well, Eyeblinder, right? Because it's the Aiel who set out to blind the Dark One.
Right.
And then get converted.
Right.
So that's their sort of, their title is their origin. They are the good Aes Sedai who learned they could channel, the men who could learn they can channel, Aiel, sorry. And so they were sent out to, that. We're told they go out to blind the Dark One. So they head to the Blight, to attack the Dark One. They get captured and converted into these sight blinders who are converted Aiel.
I mean, Sightblinder is one of their names for the Dark One. And now these people are eye blinders. It's like, yeah, he takes the spear that the Aiel throw at him and he turns it around, turns it back on them. And we get the contrast between that and the talentless, right? The talentless are other people who are very committed to the Dark One, but don't have the one power and the turning and the filed teeth and all of that.
And of course, they're the opposite of the regular Aiel. They raise their veils most of the time and only show you your face when they're going to kill you.
Right. Seeing their face is the sign that you're about to die. Essentially, no person lives after seeing their face, right? They have this very, like, if you look upon my face, you are dead kind of energy.
This is the way.
But these Samanasai are willing to give respect to nobody except for Moradin, who is the actual point of this meeting. This is why Isam is in this town and, twitchily holding himself back from the edge of leaping back into Teleron Riyadh. It's because Moradin wants to talk to him. Not
just Moradin. One of the female Forsaken is also with him.
Right.
Which one? She was a pretty woman dressed in black, trimmed with red. Slim figure, delicate face.
That's Sindain.
Or Hessalam in disguise?
No, Hessalam is being required to look ugly as hell. She's not going to get to promptly go into a disguise. This has got to be Sindain, even though he's not describing her hair.
I don't have any other details that narrow it down. All I've really got is that it's probably Sindain or Hessalam.
Yeah, I've always operated under the assumption that it's Sindain.
And that would explain why he wouldn't recognize her, even though he knows what Lanfear looks like.
Exactly. And she's very confident in the dream, and she's very determined to get Rand dead. It just fits the profile.
And doesn't she continue to look like Lanfear in the dream and not like Sindain?
Yeah. Starts. This is kind of where that starts.
Yeah. Because I keep waiting for it and being like, when is Perrin going to start getting... Because I'm waiting for that whole, Lanfear survived plot line that I want to, debunk. And so I've been, looking for it, and I'm like, wow, we really haven't encountered that yet. It really must all be in the last book.
Yeah. Mentions of casual accidental cannibalism in the town, because that's just, par for the course. And then we look at how Luke has an unusual amount of hatred for Perrin. And the wound that Perrin gave him in the dream is still hurting his body, right? They both carry scars and wounds from that big fight that they had.
Right, because wounds in the dream do not heal as well as wounds outside the dream. So even though they've been healed, it still carries aches and pains and continues to not maybe be fully healed. Even though there's no physical evidence of the wound, it's still there on some metaphysical level because you were wounded in your soul.
Yeah. He got gut wounded quite significantly. The soul will be keeping the score, even if the body can't.
Mm-hmm. And so then I also like this line where they're like, why haven't you taken down Rand yet? He's like, because every time I get started, I get another high priority and I have to ask you, what do you want me to deprioritize? And you say the hunt for Rand. And I say, that's a, priority one task. And they're like, we know, but we want you out on this other task. And it's like, okay, well, the priority one task is not going to get done again. In corporate speak. It does. It feels like that, it takes me a certain amount of time to do the hunt. It's not instant, and you keep pulling me off to do these other things.
Right. I love how the Chosen are described as bickering like children and also as being as incompetent as corporate bureaucrats.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because I often think you could describe corporate bureaucrats as children.
And as, arch-minions of all evil.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, she commands him, kill Rand al'Thor. Unless the Dark One himself says otherwise, this is your goal. And pretty much that's what we see him do. The problem is Perrin gets in the way. And so then he has to kill Perrin to get to Rand.
Right. And at that point, it becomes moot because he's dead and Rand has saved the world.
Yes.
But yeah, this is basically, if Perrin didn't, take it upon himself to bring that dream spike to Rand, this would have ended the war the other direction. He sees a bevy of 13 women and 13 Murdral headed off to turn people.
He gets a commitment for help. What is that help that he gets? It's just the Samanasai who are going to help him out. That's the
I believe so. Yeah.
So he has channelers.
It doesn't seem to do a lot of help, really. It doesn't seem to actually give him any kind of edge. It seems to just get in his way.
No, because they're in the World of Dreams, and I think Gaul takes them all out just because he's that much better at World of Dreams than they are.
Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that. Gaul just casually takes down 8 other Aiel
channelers. Yeah.
It's one of those things that's barely even on screen. Gaul's just I did that. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Because they're confused. They don't know where they are, and Isam didn't explain it to them at all.
Right, and Gaul, is a fast study.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Gaul rules.
Yeah, almost a male wise one in that, I think you should be honorary wise one for dream walking like that. and being that good at it.
He's going to have a very hard time not getting clan chiefed up after that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He definitely ends up as clan chief.
They were already eyeing him for clan chief.
Especially with Ruark dead.
Yeah, for sure. Is Gaul Tardad?
I thought so.
I can never remember.
It's hard.
He's a stone dog, but that's his warrior society, not a clan.
He's Shardad.
Shardad? Tardad.
Sharad.
Sharad. Okay. So he's not going to replace Ruark, but he's definitely going to be in leadership because, yeah, he owned it in the dream.
Yeah, I think I covered everything. Just that, we get more of these summon Asai that accompany him and sort of they lower their veil to go with him. I assume that's just because they're in killing mode more than they're trying to kill him.
But maybe also, like, they're going to make sure he doesn't go off task. As long as you're pointed at Althor, we won't kill you. Right. I mean, he even thinks they will accompany you, not they will serve you. Right. He doesn't get given control of them. He gets them assigned to him. It's different.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he thinks about his power to switch between the dream and the real world and how the Chosen can't do that. They have to build a gateway, which takes time. And like that gives him the ability, almost in a lot of ways, makes him as powerful as a Chosen.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, right? That ability to escape from them. He still serves the Dark One, but he's almost an equal with the Chosen. Certainly in the threat that he poses to Perrin and Rand.
I mean, he looks down on the Chosen. He has powers comparable to their own in his own way. He's off to the side, but he's at the same tier. It's a very interesting position for a weapon to have that much self-awareness in that way.
He's kind of the Darth Vader to the Grand Tarkin of the Chosen, of Morden.
Sure.
A dangerous, dangerous weapon. But that takes me to the end of that POV. I don't think I have anything else other than, he's going to be hunting Rand, and that'll set up his fight between him and Perrin.
And then our last POV of the day is Leilwin forcibly inserting herself into the Aes Sedai's world.
I just wish, at this point, a certain warder had died and that she could become the new warder. Because we've seen that in visions, right? We knew it was going to happen, that she was going to have a Shan Chan standing by her side as a warder.
And it does happen later, that she plugs the whole of the grief of losing Gawain with Leilwin. Like, why can't it happen now? Why can't Gawain have died in her arms before she could accept his marriage proposal? And she's still dealing with that. And then she just immediately snatches this woman up right away and they start building rapport. And we actually make those damn dream visions mean something. God, that would have been awesome.
And I also don't fully understand her, like, well, I can never captain a ship again because one child had a snit and I'm not even part of that empire anymore.
It feels very, like, honor code to the point of absurdity. Also that, like, ADHD intensity of emotion thing where you're like, I feel this emotion so intensely that I'm gonna feel it forever, and I, like, can't imagine not feeling like this in the future. I feel like she's a little bit overcommitted to this current moment of angst, to being the rest of her life. It's just, like, once the world is over, once you and Bale have, like, had a few years to, like, put this all behind you and really think about it, you might at least want to do a little freshwater boat. Maybe you won't want to go back in the ocean for a few years. Like, I don't know.
A cruise, maybe, once those are invented. We've got steam-powered boats pretty soon.
Sure. Yeah, maybe they help Aludra figure out steam-powered boats. I don't know. But yeah, Bale is here as her ride or die, but I think he's going to convince her to get back on a boat in like another 5 years.
So they're pulling a sneaky and not being very successful, right? They slip through a gateway. She puts on a fake accent. They're trying to get taken to Nynaeve or Elaine. And of course, Nynaeve's the one they get taken to. And, she does this really bad fake Doman. I always imagine it as like a bad Jamaican accent where she's like, yeah, man, I'm here to like really, really obvious and bad. And Bale's like, yeah, that's pretty good. Even though it's like, of course he would think he can't tell. It's going to sound bad to him no matter what.
Well, and he's going to be supportive of his wife no matter what.
Right.
But yeah, no, like Sleet looks surprised by the barrage of words. He's also surprised by how bad her accent is. That's part of the facial expression.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, Leilwin is on a mission to say, essentially, I am loyal to the Empress, but not to the Empire. I want to tear down the structure of the empire so that way the empress can rule over something better. It's a very interesting needle she's trying to thread here.
Almost like you're trying to work around some compulsion from a certain throne that may force you to be loyal to the Empress, and you want to tear down the Empire, and you can't give up that loyalty. Which would also explain her ridiculous reaction to being told she can't be.
Oh, but she never got crystal throned. She got raised to the blood on this side of the ocean.
That's true.
And you don't, I think, get crystal thronified unless you're of the blood to some degree. And she was elevated from normal person to the blood on this side of the ocean, which has no crystal throne. So unless there's some sort of like, it rubs off on you from the chain of command sort of effect that propagates, it can't be.
Or maybe everyone is exposed to the oath and it's only once you become the blood that it kicks in, because it's like the blood will be loyal or something like that.
It's like some sort of like sleeper cell that's just in every Shan-Chan, like when you take your first oath of office, right after graduating high school or whatever.
Right, exactly. Exactly. It's a conditional oath, right? Like it only applies once you become blood. Yeah.
I don't like that. That's even creepier than your original canon for this damn chair. I mean, it's good. It's good canon. I think you might be right. That's a powerful magic, though, to be able to just be like anyone who's taken an oath of office has like sleeper cell code in their brain. Like that's insidiously powerful.
It's a powerful ter'angreal. And I mean, especially think about the way they're using it, right? Like it's being used on civilians in mass, kind of by definition.
Yeah.
It's essentially an oath rod. And I think it's like maybe a weaker form of compulsion. It's like...
You have to buy into it a little bit more intentionally before it works.
Right.
But once it works, it locks in with magical barbs that just make it very hard to ever back out again. Yeesh.
It's self-fulfilling, like this nudging you towards loyalty that makes you more loyal. And the further you go down that road, I don't know. I'm pulling at straws a little bit here, but...
I don't know.
That loyalty to the Empress, which seems very, very dogmatic.
Yeah. But also, people have a sunk cost fallacy as a pretty normal human way of responding to power structures.
Right.
Like, I will do mental gymnastics to defend the worldview I've invested 40 years of my life in.
It's why compulsion's so insidious, right? What is, this is just something that I view that I have versus we use the same justifications to ourselves.
Yeah. And she wants to believe so much that it's possible to do some sort of radical yet incremental change to her slave-based empire to somehow reform it, get it to ride through, realizing that Damane are people.
While not overthrowing the Empress.
Yeah, and it's, I think she's tilting at windmills with that one. I think slave empires simply have to be dismantled wholesale in order to, like, reach the kind of idealized thing that she thinks she can make happen with one little revelation. Like, she's an idealist.
Well, and the fact that, frankly, at this point, the Empress knows about it. She's already dismissed it as, well, it's a choice to channel, which is ridiculous because they chain up people who haven't channeled all the time. But for them, it's the people who have no choice but to eventually channel that they chain up.
Right. Also, she still thinks it's cool to, like, have Daco Veil. Just not ones that can channel.
Right.
So it's like...
Slavery is not so much a problem in her eyes.
Yeah, it's only slavery of magic people that's wrong. She's working on it. She is working on it.
So Sleet leads them to Nynaeve, who's doing paperwork. I honestly don't remember.
She's doing something behind a desk, very uncharacteristic.
I mean, because this is the field of Marilor, though. So she's like probably writing letters between various factions, trying to make peace, right? Like,
yeah, correspondence is probably it. Sending notes to various people and trying to coordinate stuff. Yeah, she's not doing clerical work. She's doing networking. Yeah, diplomacy. Because she is, one of the most powerful and well-connected women in the world. So, yeah, that's probably really important for her to be sending and receiving information amongst people in the camp.
And then I love Sleet's like takedown of it where he's just like, yeah, they slipped through. Yeah, she's doing a bad accent. Yeah, they need money. They like.
We decided that this was interesting enough. We should bring it to you. But also, no, they have a lot of subterfuge that they thought was working until right now.
And it's not. But it's his way of saying like he never turning to them, but also saying you never tricked me.
Right. Right. Our security is so good that we're just going to allow you to hang yourself. Here, have some more rope. Because, like, the farther they walk into the camp, the more vulnerable they are, right? Like, the warders know what they're doing. And so, yeah, basically, Nynaeve says, what the hell are you doing in my face after you let the sad bracelets not get dropped into the ocean? Like, how dare you show your face after failing at that one, but you had one job and you failed at it.
And that's why we had Darth Rand.
And that's why we nearly lost the world before the last battle could even start. So why are you here? Why should I not just fireball you?
I love Llewellyn being like, why didn't you tell me that? And Bale being, I did many times. You weren't listening.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid I told you so.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty much fun. And also explains like why she just has felt delusional about it this whole time, where she's like, whatever, it's just one object.
It'll be fine. What could one little whatever make a difference about?
And Bail Domon at the time was a slave, so he had no say whatsoever.
Right. He tried to fight. She prevented him from fighting instead of joining him. And she bought her life with giving that shit to Surath. Like, she would have been so much better off, like, taking those things, grabbing them, and just heaving herself over the side of the boat. That would have been, you know, better for the world. But she didn't understand the mission. She didn't understand that her life would have been a small price to pay for keeping those things out of Surath's hands.
But again, another tying up of a storyline, that storyline of Nynaeve giving the sad bracelets to Domon and saying toss these in the deepest ocean and them losing. Like, that's another one of these, like, one of the things that I noticed Sanderson is trying to do is like he is sweeping these loose threads up and tying them up and trying to, you know, these plot lines that have come up multiple times in multiple books saying, okay, this is pretty much where it resolves, or this is where the characters come back together and say we're good.
Right. And like, the sad bracelets are done, Semirog is done, Surath is done. But Leilwin and Bale and their culpability, that was one last little postscript that had to get wrapped up. And it's a chance to attempt to make that dream of Egwene's come true.
And it's honestly one of my favorite parts of getting these final books written by Sanderson is seeing these moments play out and having these on page that we would have never gotten if he hadn't come and finished the books. It's like, I no longer have to wonder, oh, are they ever going to, like, talk about that or resolve it, or, you know, is she ever going to come down on them? Is Rand ever going to come down on them for that?
And so Leilwin here says that she belongs to the White Tower as Docavale for now and forever. What does she do in the aftermath of Egwene's death? Do you think she stays in the White Tower and finds someone else to attach to, or does she consider her debt paid after all that chaos?
That's a tough one.
Because we know that Egwene releases the warder bond as she shoves her through the gateway. So her only, you know, emotional impact from that is going to be the normal stuff, not magically induced like warder rage. So what does she do?
I like to think that Bail Domon talks her into living an independent life.
I would like that too.
Yeah, because she doesn't go on a murderous rampage because the bond is released. She's like, okay, more people should do that.
Big time. Well, of course, Egwene figured out the one smart thing. I like the idea that Domon can ultimately convince her that, like, she paid her life debt and she should take up riverboating with him. And they just sail off into the sunset.
I like that. Steamboat.
Yeah, they steam off into the sunset. Yes.
Because it's not, she was told she couldn't sail a ship again. That's not sailing.
Aha! You can't, you didn't prevent me from doing that because that technology hadn't been invented when you cursed me. Aha!
Companies do that shit all the time. They're like, this is a different technology when they alter one little thing. We had invented this when you legislated the problem, so now we're using, you know.
Right, or like research chemicals, like Sasha Shulgin being like,
yes.
I added one molecule, therefore it's not illegal. Mwahahaha.
It's gone from a 12-molecule chain to a 13-molecule chain, but functionally it's exactly the same.
Or is it? Who will never know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I should read us out.
Yeah, that's because this leads us up to her becoming a warder, but that will happen later.
Leilwin shipless now belonged to the White Tower. Whatever they said, whatever they tried to do with her, that fact would not change. They owned her. She would be Docavale to this Amerlin, and would ride this storm like a ship whose sail had been shredded by the wind. Perhaps, with what remained of her honor, she could earn this woman's trust. You can. 5 minutes before she decides to kill herself over her dead warder husband. But yeah, for 5 whole minutes, sure.
It really feels like it would have been nice to see some redemption there where Egwene actually, like, gave up the anger at the Shan-Chan for imprisoning her.
Yeah, if she'd been able to go through that, like, healing thing where she lets go of that loop. And yeah. But no, it's sort of a grudging tolerance until it gets cut off. It's very underwhelming, but God, there's so much promise here.
And it just ruins her I will live centuries when she goes up against Tuon.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that should have died, and there's a couple of people that shouldn't have died.
Yeah, Egwene dying, just, man. She was set up to be such a good Amerlin seat. And the just redemption of the tower.
Forget healing. If she'd lived, I would have wanted to see her bend every rule of the agreements to go against the Seanchan.
At least be wary of them, yeah.
I mean, seeing her and Leilwin wrestling with that for, the entirety of Leilwin's natural life would have been some cool books.
Yeah, there's so many books I would have loved to have. The follow-on books would be so good. Like, this is one of those things where, there's some authors who just keep writing more and more books in their series long after you thought the series was over. And, sometimes I don't want that. I wanted that for Wheel of Time.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. It was kind of short.
That was fun. I did say going into this was going to be a shorter recording because it is only the 3 POVs, and we're going to do 3 next week. But then, and looking at, honestly, the rest of the book, we're doing anywhere from 4 to 8 POVs for most episodes. So I think for most episodes we will be a bit longer. But if I'd sort of planned it better, we could have done the whole other half of the prologue in one episode. But I wasn't sure how much time, I'm still gauging how much time we're spending on these POVs.
Yeah, for sure.
But they do seem to be pointed, right? There's a reason why there is the POV, and we can talk about it. But it's very straightforward, usually, what he's doing. Right? He's not necessarily trying to do 2, 3, 4, 5 things in each POV.
Yeah.
It depends on the POV, but
because we're wrapping up, right?
Yeah.
It's all downhill from here. Everything that he's writing it almost writes itself because you have to conclude it on a diminishing number of options, right? As we get to the end. We're not expanding anymore. We are contracting.
Thank you for listening to the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Please rate and review us on your podcast app, and consider supporting us on Patreon for ad-free episodes. What Spoilers is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.